Good morning. So heading out to Harlow. It's about 23 miles from Barnet, kind of north-easterly. And I've got a 70-mile ride planned. Right now my dashboard is telling me it's 3.5 degrees, so it's a bit chilly, but the sun's out. So I've kind of prepared for cold, but not like freezing cold, because I think hopefully it'll warm up, and when if you're in the sun, then it's not so bad. Although the one forecast I've got does say it might sprinkle rain around 12 o'clock, and I will still be out if I'm doing 70 miles. It's 10 past 8 at the moment. Well, I'm not the only one out. I'm not the only one out cycling. But yeah, should be a nice ride if this sun stays out, especially. Temperature is up to 6 now. Looking good. It is pretty cold, still quite. It's a bit wet on the ground. And in fact, where I set off, there's kind of snow on the ground in the edges, like an icy snow. So it is pretty cold, and I've not gone full winter gear. But I'm all right at the moment. And then there's just my legs. My legs, they're not feeling great, if I'm honest. So 70 miles would be interesting. As I was driving out, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll try pushing a bit today and see how quickly I can do 70. So at the minute I'm thinking, how cool is this spot? With a sort of a river passing through. I don't know what that big old mansion is, and actually just there, some kind of steam train, and there's like, I don't know. Audley End House, there we go. So I thought I'd do a bit of an update on the update, although it is kind of spur at the moment, just some that's nice little. I'm out near Saffron Walden, for anyone that knows that area of the country. Yeah, I've not brought the media mod on the GoPro, so I don't know how clear I'll be sounding. But we'll give it a whirl and we'll see what happens. Look at these places. So an update on my update from last week for the 100 or so people that watched, and I really do appreciate all the well wishing and everything from everybody. Thank you very much, guys. I do enjoy putting these videos out and then just kind of, you know, interacting with you guys and and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I appreciate that. Anyway, so the update is, had the interview yesterday morning. Felt like it went well, but you know, you can never quite tell. What are they really looking for? Are there certain like topics, phrases, buzzwords they're looking for and you don't do? Oh, who knows? But clearly it did, because 3 hours after it ended, I got a phone call offering me the job. So I was buzzing yesterday, I really was. Not much work got done in the afternoon, if I'm honest, because I was ringing family and friends and chatting with them. And then when work, I would have air quoted if I had a spare hand. When work finished, I went out for a ride, because it was quite nice weather, and I was so full of energy at that point. And as for trying to get to sleep at the end of the night, oh my word. I mean, I normally go to bed kind of 10, half 10. I'm not a late, I wake up early almost always. And as it was, I was watching TV till about half 11. Went to bed, I couldn't sleep. It got to at least sort of half midnight, and I was still awake, just laying there. I think I was still buzzing, really. Because not only have I kept my job, but I've got quite a nice pay rise as well. So yeah, what a world of difference to where I was kind of, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, where I'm thinking, you know, just what a hassle I would have to go through. How maybe the privileged position that I had with the wage that I was earning was going to come to an end, and you know, I might have a very different lifestyle going forward. So that's the main thing I wanted to just kind of let you guys know, really. What I was thinking though as well, for anyone interested, I'll kind of go over the story again, I suppose. So anyone that's interested in kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's much of a how, and if I can offer any advice on if anyone else is looking to change careers, because it's quite a different position I had, I suppose. Working with the partnership, the John Lewis partnership, because they are, you know, they almost saw it as much of a success story that I was able to do it as it was for me seeing it as a success story. They like to minimise redundancy wherever they can. If that means moving somebody into a role they've never done before and supporting them and helping them learn that role, then that's great. So yeah, that's mainly what this kind of video, whilst I'm out cycling around the countryside, is going to be about. So a very brief kind of explanation of my background. 7 years with Warner Cinema as a manager, well, almost all of it as a manager. 20 years with Waitrose. The last 9 as a deputy branch manager. But July 20, well no, actually, let's go back to 2017. They were restructuring the management teams and were thinning down the numbers. And deputy branch managers were cutting from about 460 to about 300, I think, across the estate. And they were doing that over a period of 3 years. So I wasn't overly concerned for my job. I mean, a little bit. And at the time I thought, well, if I'm coming out of shops, retail and all that, I don't want to stay in retail. I don't really know how I ended up, well, by chance almost I ended up in retail. So that's when I started to learn to code. I thought, you know, maybe I'll branch off to that if I was to lose my job. So the first thing was like, okay, well, what languages, and you know, Android seemed the obvious thing. And I did have the idea for an app that I wanted to make. So I bought a bunch of courses, started off with Java, bought a course on Udemy. Now, never pay more than £15 for a course on Udemy. If it's more than £15 when you're looking at it, wait 2 weeks, and at some point it'll be on sale for like £13.99 or something. But yeah, I did buy quite a lot of different courses, because Because also, even though some of them are very highly rated, the first one I started doing just didn't gel, just didn't work for me. The guy, it was like he was trying to teach me Spanish, but talking to me in Spanish. Didn't work. I switched off. I think the guy was called Rob Percival, I think. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description to the course I started on that did work. So yeah, just spent time learning to code, made some basic apps, moved on, started learning some other languages, making some websites, making my own website, andrewlandy.uk. It wasn't long before I found out my job was safe, so I kind of tailed off. I've not done a lot of coding in the last few years. It's quite funny, a side note from little yappy dogs. So wind on kind of 4 years, I think, to 2021, July 2021. I mean, I want to say out of the blue, but to be fair, my boss has been saying for a couple of years, Andy, I'm not sure you're going to be around, you know, your job, your position will be around much longer the way it's going. And even when they gave us a 2-week notice of, well, we're having a big meeting on this date, everyone's got to be there, I could kind of see the writing on the wall at that point. They talked about wanting to simplify the management structures. So I thought, well, that's deputies and assistants probably gone. So deputy branch managers and assistant team managers. Sure enough, an answer comes around. And whilst they're not completely gone, whilst they're not completely gone, I think this time they're cutting down from sort of 300 or so down to about 40. In London it's coming down from 51 to 7, and my branch would not have, in the new structure, would not have a deputy branch manager. So even if I did stay in a different branch, and whilst the previous time it happened in 2017, I could have requested redundancy and taken the money. You know, I've been a partner a long time, and I'm not a risk taker really, I suppose. And I thought, no, just stay with your job, stick with what it's working, sort of thing. Don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This time I thought, well, I mean, I might not even have a choice, but probably time to move on. Probably time to go do something different. Being a 20-year partner, it's a good payout that the partnership gives. I did some maths, I've got some savings, and I thought at a real push, if I sort of was a bit frugal, I could probably last 4 years without a job. I mean, I wouldn't have much fun not spending money at that time, but realistically 2 years, let's say, and still enjoying myself, travelling and that kind of thing. So I was quite open to that. I thought that, yeah, that'd be quite nice. You know, you work hard, well, kind of work hard, for almost 30 years. A couple of years out, while you can still enjoy it, seemed like a good idea. At the same time, part of me thought, well, I want to be ready for, so what am I going to do next? If I don't want to do retail management, what am I going to do? So then I thought about, well, IT management makes sense. You know, people have always been surprised I'm not in IT, because I love my tech, my gadgets, a bit of coding, all that kind of thing. So I started asking around, you know, how much of the actual technology do you need to know if you're an IT manager? I've got oodles of people management skills and experience, do I need to know how to write apps to manage the people? Look at this. Oh, bit of a descent. I'm just going to deal with this. So not intentionally, not that I planned it, but I've ended up in Finching field, finching field, I think. Which, as you can kind of see, is a bit of sort of a motorbiker hotspot, which I used to come to reasonably often actually when I rode a motorbike. So that's quite fun. It's a beautiful area, really nice. Oh, there's a drone, look. It's like a mini of some kind. Why not? So, having set off out of Fishing Field, I realised that I've got a slow puncture. I don't know if you can see that. It was at like 93, down to 70, took on to 77. But the useful thing is that I can see that in advance, so you wouldn't notice. You're looking at the back tyre, you wouldn't tell. But then I've passed this little area that I thought actually that's, well, big pile of manure maybe, but it's a big bit of space that I can set up and take the wheel off and repair the puncture at least. So that could be the fella. Almost opposite the valve. Okay. There we go, 90 and 95. Good to go. Let's just not get enough of this. Okay, I actually can't remember where I got to now. So I think I basically just found out 99% sure I'd be getting made redundant. My notice period was 6 months and they wouldn't be deciding until November, so I knew I had quite a bit of time still. The partnership also do this thing as well where they try and find you somewhere else to work. They give you what's called the at-risk flag, and when you're at risk you do have an improved chance of getting jobs that you apply for. So I thought, well, probably my best shot is to move into IT management within the partnership, because I would have a better chance of getting an IT management job with them than with some random company who'd be like, you got no experience, mate. So the problem is getting that risk flag, because to get that, if I just said, yeah, I'll take redundancy, you don't get it. You're like, okay, see you later then, here's your payout, off you go, job done. Everyone's happy almost. So to get that risk flag, I had to show willing to find a job, or, you know, to try, I'll say, yeah, I want a job, I want to stay as a deputy branch manager somewhere. But, you know, without that actually happening. That's almost the worst case scenario, is they say, okay, go to Finchley, or, you know, some of the branch that will have one, and be a DBM there. Oh, bollocks. So I had to kind of play the game a little bit, play the odds, say that I wanted to go to to a couple of certain branches which I'm fairly sure other people would want to go to as well. And it worked. I said, yeah, I want to be a DBM. And they said, oh, I'm really sorry, there's no branches for you. Oh no. So I'll get the risk flag, get my 6 months notice, leaving the partnership in April, in theory. This is back in, I don't know, back in like November, I suppose. I don't know. So my next thought was, I need to get hold of somebody in IT, kind of almost explain my situation to them and see if I can get some work experience with them almost. To my benefit, my actual role was finishing in the middle of January, but my contract wouldn't finish till the middle of April. And the business was saying, well, you've got to find some meaningful work to do in those 3 months. Which for most people, just, I don't even know what everyone's doing in branch at this point. So I thought, well, meaningful work could be working with the IT team. So I made, sent a few emails and got confirmation. Yeah, we're happy for you to do that. We'll pay for you to go and do that. Brilliant. So then back to finding someone that will help me, and more cyclists. Afternoon. So basically I headed off into sort of into work day, what we use for pay and recruitment and stuff, and just started looking for vacancies in the IT field. No, actually, I suppose not. Come back a few weeks probably. And I thought, right, what is IT management? Are there any qualifications I can get? Started doing some research. Another cyclist. Afternoon. Lots of people. It's a beautiful day now. So nice. Anyway, found out about a thing called Scrum, which is an agile methodology or framework that a lot of software companies use for software development. And the role that would suit me would be what's called the Scrum Master, who's what's called like a servant leader. You're leading from behind. You're supporting the team. So okay, that's what I'm after. What qualifications can I get? I thought the rear wheel was a bit down, so I've got another puncture. Now, the interesting thing being, I only had 2 inner tubes with me. This will be the second one going in. What's caused this? Is it the same thing? And I did check the tyre. I removed what I'm fairly sure would cause the puncture, but if I put another in now and it goes down as well, I'm getting the cab back to the car. Right, looking for something to follow. I might even just pump it back up, see if I can get to my next coffee stop. I don't know if that has inner tubes or not, but if I want to know anything about cycling, I probably should go tubeless. Got a plan. I think I'm about a mile away from my next coffee stop. Here we are at the airfield, and I found the culprit. So let's get that patched up. It seems to be holding. Let's pop it back in. See how we go. So I've got myself the at-risk flag. So I thought, well, let's just start applying for a few things, see what happens. So I looked out for anything that looked remotely interesting at this point. Just to get some practice in applications and the process, and I think I applied for about 4 different roles, and none of them did I even get an interview. And I think then I realised the problem is, even with the at-risk flag, the at-risk flag doesn't help you get the interview, and the interview is based on if you've got the experience, which I didn't have. So then I started thinking, oh, I don't know, that at-risk flag going to help me much. But while this was all going on, I got some replies from people that I'd emailed that were recruiting, who gave me a name of someone's contact. So I got in touch with him. I got a reply, and I think I replied again, but then it was like 2 months until the next reply. So it was a long time where I thought, well, okay, that's going nowhere. But when he did reply after 2 months, he was basically saying, right, let's get you on board then, let's get you set up, shadowing this person doing the delivery lead role. Had a slight hiccup where there was some confusion over who would pay for me, and everything got cancelled briefly. I was like, ah! But I got it back on track, getting confirmation. Confirmation that the shop would pay for me, not digital. So when January came round, I started working from home as a delivery lead. Basically for the first few weeks just shadowing an established delivery lead. So quite odd, with about 10 miles to go, I could see that the rear tyre was going down again. I mean slowly, really slowly, like 1 psi a minute almost, something like that. And I thought, well, 10 miles to go, I'd almost rather, if I can get to 6 miles to go, then I'll stop and pump it back up. Then I'll get to 3 miles to go and I'll stop and pump back up. I still might have to change another inner tube, to be quite honest. So I've left it. I kept cycling, and at one point it dropped quite quickly, but now it's basically stopped at 43 psi. So I'm just kind of praying. I've only now got about 4 miles to go. So for the last 2 miles, it's just not moved from 40, 42, 43 psi. Quite weird. I don't know if the repair fixed itself again or something, stuck back in place. I don't know. Or just that it's such a small hole that when it's got to this lower pressure, it doesn't force its way out. I don't know, but I'm just grateful. Hopefully I can get back to the car without having to stop again. But it has been, I've been pushing quite hard to try and get back, because, you know, almost a race against time. So I'm shattered right now. Nearly there though. Made it back with 34 psi. I got back with 34 psi in the back tyre. It was a bit bouncy. I am shattered. I was pushing to get back before it went proper flat. I'm going to put hard tyres on again. It's just too annoying. Anyway, amazing ride, but shattered.